Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I am on a financial freedom journey with my family. I share all about that and more on my channel. Today we are continuing with our budget review series and we are going to be reviewing Mandy's budget. Mandy is 36 from California. And before I get started with this video, I do want to apologize for my voice. I have been fighting a cold for like over a week and I just needed to film the video, so I apologize that my voice probably sounds a little sickly, but we're gonna roll with it. I'm feeling okay. It's just I sound horrible. So thank you guys in advance for hanging with me. But we are gonna keep going with the video. I appreciate you guys. I know I've been sick for quite a while, so you're probably sick of hearing me sounding this ill, but I promise I will get through it eventually. All right, let's go ahead and get started with Mandy's budget review. So like I said, Mandy is 36. She lives in California. She works in accounting. She is single and her gross income is about $105,000. Some of her short-term goals and priorities are to pay off her personal loan and to max out her Roth IRA. She has 3 debts, which I will talk a little bit more about in her budget because I think that there might be more than this. But these are the 3 debts that she had listed in her budget review. So she has a personal loan for about $6,400, a credit card with Citibank for about $4,500, and then an Apple card, which is almost $5,000. So that's about $16,000 worth of debt. As far as savings, she has an emergency fund for about $4,700. And she also does have a Roth IRA just under $1,000 right now. Her biggest financial struggle is to create a realistic budget. Again, if you guys have watched any of these, I think this is my 6th or 7th video in this series, but very common and something that we all struggle with for sure is creating a realistic budget. And that's something that I hope to really help you guys through these budget reviews and through these videos is just how to create a realistic budget, because I think that it is a really tough balance sometimes to find. And I know it took me and my husband a long time to really nail down like what was realistic for us. And we still struggle with it to this day sometimes with just like a growing family and having to adjust at times to what is realistic. And so yeah, you are in good company, Mandy. No worries at all. That is a struggle that a lot of us have and that a lot of us can relate to. And a long-term financial goal that she wants to work on is she would like to eventually purchase a home in about 5 years. So let's go ahead and go over her debt payoff plan first, and then we will take a look at Mandy's budget. All right, so like I said, I did base Mandy's debt overview on the ones that she had talked about in her budget review. So that is 3 debts that she had listed. So I ordered these in this way. So I started with the Apple card. That is at 21% interest, so quite high on the interest rate. I typically do the avalanche method with these. It's a little bit harder for these because I don't know the interest rate on the personal loan. It wasn't listed. And then also with this Citi card, it is a balance transfer. She has 0% until February of 2026. So the minimum payment on this Citi card is only $43, but if we want to pay this off, which we do, you have to be really careful with these balance transfers because a lot of times in the fine print, if you don't pay it off by the time the 0% expires, you can be on the hook for all of that interest. So you have to be really careful with these. So I kind of ordered these in the order that I would pay them, but something just to be mindful of is this one, we need to keep paying about $414 to pay it in full by this date. So I would kind of change, the minimum payment to that $414. Anyways, the Apple credit card, like I said, has a interest rate of 21%. That's quite high. And the minimum payment for that one is $130 currently. Like I said, we don't know the interest rate for the personal loan. It wasn't listed. The minimum payment for the personal loan is $335. And that balance is about $6,446. And then we have that balance transfer. So let's go ahead and get into the budget because there's actually a lot more that I want to talk about this debt, but it'll come through in the budget. So yeah, I think we're missing some of the story here in this debt tracker / debt overview. So I don't want to spend too much time on it because I think that there may be more debt than this. So let's go ahead and take a look at the budget together. All right, so like I said, there is quite a bit of items in the budget that I think there may be more debt than was listed in the form. So let's just go through, we'll kind of go line through line. There is so many fixed expenses that I actually needed to do a second column. So this is not typically how this is presented in my budgets, but because there was so many, I did have to split. So just starting from the top, her income is about $62.68 a month. I did not see that she had any pre-tax deductions listed. I'm gonna assume that there's probably some insurance in here, but based on the investments only being the Roth IRA, I'm guessing that she either doesn't have access to a 401k or isn't contributing. Mandy, at your age of 36, I would definitely, if you have access to a 401k, definitely consider putting some money in there, especially because you only have the Roth IRA right now that is pretty low at only $1,000. I would definitely look into a 401k if you have access to one. That would be my number one suggestion for you based on your age. So we are working with $62.68 for her budget. Like I said, there is a lot of fixed expenses in this budget. This is the most I've ever seen in a budget that I've reviewed personally. It's a lot. So let's go through these line by line and talk through kind of some of the thoughts and things that we may be able to look at. So rent, $1,400. Again, for living in California, I feel like that's really fair. I'm assuming she may have like a roommate or a situation where maybe the rent is being split. $1,400 is great. Electric, $155, water, $85. Again, nothing out of the ordinary there. Spectrum, $112. Again, if this is just internet, I would definitely see if you can reduce that. If there's anything else in this bill, maybe seeing if we could reduce that. Or like if you have cable, it looks like you have a lot of subscription services. So if you can cut this down, I would definitely look into the Spectrum and see if you can cut that down. If that is just internet, or any of that, definitely could see if we could reduce. Again, there is quite a few subscriptions: Paramount Plus, Peacock, Apple Cloud, Max, Netflix, Hulu. We've got like almost every subscription service in here. Something that I personally like to do with my subscription services is rotate them. So the chances are that you're probably not watching like every single one of these all the time. So a way that you could possibly reduce some of these subscriptions would be to like have Netflix for 1 month and then switch to Hulu the next month and then switch to Peacock the next month. That can be a way that you can save a little bit of money. That's personally what we like to do, just because we feel like we're getting more out of it then. Like if we only have Netflix for 1 month, we're kind of like focusing on what we want to watch on Netflix, and then we get rid of it and get another streaming service at another point. But that could be a way that you could kind of cut back on some of these expenses. Now, then she also has The Joint. I believe this is a chiropractor based on a quick Google search. I believe that's what that is. So $89 for that. And then Reveal You Tan, I believe that's a tanning membership for $61. Again, lots of like memberships and subscriptions. So if we could cut back, I would definitely recommend. Then we have an Amex in here for $160. And this is the part of the budget where I was getting a little bit confused because this was not listed in the debt. So I'm gonna guess that this is a credit card. So yeah, $160 for that. I'm not sure if this is maybe a credit card that she uses and pays off. I'm hoping that's the case. But $160 for that. Trupanion, I believe that might be insurance for $69. Sundays for Dogs, I believe that's dog food. And then Gunner Care, I'm not sure what that is, but these are all quite high too. Obviously the dog one, I believe that's dog food, like I said. So, you know, if you have pets, that could be a reasonable expense. Again, I'm not sure what this Gunner Care is. Maybe that's a dog. Is that your dog's name? That might be what it is. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, is that like dog daycare maybe? I'm not sure, but $370. Again, lots of like fixed expenses that I feel like we could maybe try to see if we could cut down. Then another credit card that she had listed, credit card black for $40. Again, not sure if that is one of these three or not. I don't think it is. I tried to match these up. So like here's the city one, here's the personal loan, and then we didn't have the Apple credit card listed in here. So I think that was missing, if I'm correct. Maybe that's the credit card black. I'm not really sure. So we have the credit card black for $40, SoFi for $40. Again, SoFi sounds like debt. Not sure what that is. And then we have an Airbnb for March, which was 52. So I'm not sure if that was like on a credit card, but again, definitely when you're looking at your budget, we need to make sure we have everything listed, because it's hard to break down like your debt snowball when we don't maybe have all of the debt. And then here's the city card that we had talked about. So this is the city card that expires, the 0% expires February 2026, and the minimum payment is 43, but we said we wanted to be paying 414. So this is something that will be rolled into this debt snowball. Then Quicksilver, again, another what I believe to be a credit card that wasn't listed, 65. Surge, not sure what that is, for 15. Chase, again, another credit card that I don't think was listed. So if there is more credit card debt, we need to make sure that we are including it in our debt snowball so that we know how to prioritize these. Then Geico, I'm assuming that's insurance, for 132. Again, if that's car, if it's just for one car, that might be a little bit high possibly, so you may want to shop around for that. FTB, I believe this might be tax board for her since she is an accountant, so $50 for that. Ready Refresh for 75, not 100% sure what that is. Apple Care for 8. Verizon for 280. Again, I think that this may be her cell phone, which again seems incredibly high if it's just one cell phone. Something that my husband and I have done to save a lot of money on our cell phones is switching over to Mint Mobile, which actually brings me to the partner for this video, which is Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 per month. My husband and I switched over to Mint Mobile and also added my son on our family plan over 2 years ago. Before we switched over to Mint, I used their coverage map on the website to make sure that the places that we frequent, including our house and workplaces, were going to be compatible with service. And the great news is that we have excellent coverage everywhere. With Mint Mobile, you can get high-speed data with unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone with your current phone number and contacts. And the best news of all is that it's super easy and fast to switch over to Mint Mobile. With their digital eSIM cards, you can switch in as low as 15 minutes. And if for whatever reason you need to speak to somebody with customer care, Mint Mobile has incredible customer service. They are available 7 days a week, and it's really easy to talk to an actual human being on the phone if you need to. Or they also have a plethora of self-service options as well. Again, thank you so much to Mint Mobile for partnering with me on this video. Let's go ahead and get back to the video. So $280 for Verizon, I would definitely look into switching. Again, obviously my husband and I use Mint Mobile and love Mint Mobile. That is what we personally use, and that is what I will always recommend because we've had really good luck with it over the last few years. But I would just try to see what you could switch to, because $280 is incredibly high. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that there may be like a cell phone that you purchased that may be like on a payment plan, but if you could pay that off and then switch to a cheaper plan, that would save you a lot of money. Then again, we have the personal loan, which was accounted for in here for $335. And then like I said, the Apple credit card that we had talked about in the debt tracker was not listed in here on her monthly expenses. So I did add it because I didn't see it. That's why I had to come back and fix these numbers, because I was going through and reconciling and I was like, wait a second, I don't even see the Apple credit card. So I added that in here at $130. All of that added together is $4105 for fixed expenses. Again, in my opinion, that is really, really high. And again, it could be because of all these different credit cards that we have that are kind of adding to that, and then a lot of subscriptions. So wherever possible, I would try to reduce the number of subscriptions as well as the amount, because it is a lot. More than half of your budget is wrapped up in a lot of these fixed expenses. So that leaves our remaining at $2163. Now again, she did not list really any variable expenses, which leads me to believe that a lot of her spending is done on credit cards, which is really, really dangerous, and probably the reason that you are in this situation with the credit cards, because you are not setting aside money for these variable expenses. She did have $60 set aside for gas, but there was no other variable expenses listed. So what I would recommend to you, Mandy, is pull the last few months of all all in all caps, all of your credit cards, your debit card, any statement that you have spending on from the last 3 to 6 months, pull every single statement and do an audit of your finances. This is going to be really, really important for you because you need to figure out what you are actually spending up here. Now, for the sake of this budget, I did just put in some random numbers here. I put in $200 for groceries and $250 for spending. Again, I have no clue what you're actually spending, so it's hard to know. This is probably kind of low, but I did just put it in there for the sake of the video, just to have amounts in here. But the most critical thing that I would tell you in this budget review is that you have to go back and audit your spending. What are you spending money on? What are you actually spending on gas? What are you actually spending on groceries? What are you actually spending? That is the most critical thing, because if you don't control it, you are going to continue to get out of control with all these credit cards, and you will never dig yourself out of it if you don't know what you're actually spending. So again, for the sake of this video, I put in these numbers. I added that up to $510 for the variable expenses. That leaves you with $1653 left. Again, you have a good amount of income here, so I think that it would be definitely possible for you to get out of debt relatively quickly. Again, this is probably not realistic. I'm just going to be honest. With the amount of credit card debt that I'm seeing here, it seems like you are overspending from what you have in your budget. So you need to first make sure that you are putting reasonable expenses in here. You should have a miscellaneous and spending category, groceries, gas at a minimum. And if there is any additional spending, you need to have it reflected in here. So definitely go through and make sure that you are making it realistic. That is my biggest tip for you. And also make sure that you are listing out all of your debts, because if this is what you think your debts are, but there really is more, you are doing yourself a disservice by not being honest about what your debt actually is. So definitely make sure that you are being honest about what you have, and then we could do a proper debt snowball and really figure out what we are dealing with here. But for now, like I said, I just kind of put it into this debt snowball bucket, $1653. Again, this is probably not gonna work because this is probably not realistic. So first thing you need to do is really audit your budget. Again, minimum for me, I would say pull your last 3 months of every single credit card that you have spent on. Do not forget any of them. Like, you need to go through and audit every single expense and really add up, like, what are you spending on shopping? What are you spending on groceries? All of that. What are you spending on eating out? Again, I didn't even reflect eating out in this budget either. So if that's something that you're doing, needs to be added to the budget. But yeah, like I said, you do have a really good income. So you have a pretty big shovel here that you can pull from. So again, a lot of this probably will need to be allocated to spending if that's realistic, but you do have a good amount here to be able to pay down some of this debt. And again, it was hard to do a real debt tracker because we don't really know 100% what this debt is. So number one, check your spending. And number two, you need to be realistic about the debt that you have and list everything out individually. So that is all I have for this video. Mandy, I think that you have a great income to be able to get yourself out of this situation, and I don't want you to feel like I'm being a little bit too harsh. I'm not. That is not my intention at all. But sometimes you just need a wake-up call, and I'm hoping that for you, this video can help you to get in a better financial spot, because I think that's what everyone wants, right? Like, we all want to be in a really good financial spot, and sometimes you need somebody to come in and just be like, girl, what are you doing? And trust me, I have been in this situation as well. I have overspent on credit cards. I've been in credit card debt. It is not a fun place to be in. So Mandy, DM me on Instagram if you need help. I am more than willing to come back and do another audit for you. Even if I don't film it, I would 100% be willing to help you out if you can come back and give us more information on the debt that you have. But yeah, I don't want you to feel discouraged by this video. I want you to feel encouraged and know that you can get yourself out of this, because it is totally possible. And like I said, you have a great income that you'll be able to do really good things with. You just need to be honest with yourself about what you are actually spending every single month, and that will help us to be able to create a plan for you that will actually be able to help you move forward financially. Let me know in the comments down below, you guys, what did you think of this one? If you have any tips or advice for Mandy, leave it in the comments down below. Just a reminder, please keep it positive. If you want a budget review done by me, the form link will be in the bio and the pinned comment. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.